She's Out of My League is the story of a TSA agent, and he ends up dating a girl. He's getting over a bad relationship. This girl, played by the lovely and beautiful Alice Eve, who she is also coming off a bad relationship, and the movie makes every point of saying that she is a hard 10 on the rating scale of attractiveness, whereas at best, the TSA agent, played by Jay Baruchel, is, what do they say, a 4? Five. Which puts her out of his league, and it becomes...
You can't move more than 2 points on the scale.
Right, apparently you can't go up more than 2 points on the scale, and his worries about that rating make for problems in the relationship. You know, it's can the super geek date the super hottie? You know, it's kind of a, you know, almost the fun, kind of crazy romantic comedy, but crass, you know, like it wants to be like Knocked Up. Maybe it's the cheaper knockoff, so to speak.
Knocked Up.
But that, you know, so unsurprisingly, you know, it's the romantic comedy. Will love triumph in the end? Who knows?
All right.
Yeah.
Christy, what'd you think?
I didn't hate this. I am so surprised to find myself saying that I actually had a pretty good time in this movie because it's surprisingly funny, a lot of really good lines sprinkled the whole way through. The interplay with Jay Baruchel and his little band of buddies, similar to all Judd Apatow movies where the guys are all tooling on each other. But they get a lot of really great one-liners in. The guy who plays his best friend, T.J. Miller, is hilarious. He's very Seth Rogen-y here. Yeah, it's funny. And one thing I liked about it was that the girl in it is a person, and she has a personality and a past, and she's not just an awesome body, and she is an awesome body, but she's not just that. And yeah, I had a surprisingly good time. This is the kind of movie that if it had come out in the 80s, you would go see it in the theater, and then it would come on cable, and you'd watch it over and over again, and realize, oh, it's not bad. Like Better Off Dead, or like she's just one of the guys, or one of those kinds of movies. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, I get the feeling that, and we were talking about this after the screening last night, that when this does come out on cable and you watch it again, that once you've seen it 2 or 3 times, that there's a good chance you'll like it a lot more. Not you specifically, but one will like it a lot more. And by one, I mean I. And I also had a good time last night. You know, this happened to me with very much so with Meet the Parents, which I liked in the theater, and then by the time I'd seen it 3 times and I realized that I'm quoting it, I was like, wow, apparently I thought Meet the Parents was incredibly funny. And I don't know why I think that so much about it. I mean, I think you're right, that I thought this movie was pretty funny. I mean, it's interesting, it's written by Sean Anders and John Morris, and I just looked up Sean Anders, and he also wrote what's coming out, I guess, in a couple of weeks, but he wrote Hot Tub Time Machine.
Which looks great.
Yeah, so this, I guess, maybe could be a big year for Hot Tub Time Machine. I think you also make a great point about Alice Eve. Right, looking at the previews, you sort of think, oh, this is, you know, again, right, she's just going to be this body, this sort of, you know, almost like Christy Brinkley in Vacation. Right, but no, she's very much a real character, and not at all sort of symbolic of something. She's just a good-looking girl.
Although I have to say,
with a real past and a real future and real wants and real desires. And,
although I have to say, there were some elements in this film that I thought really held it back. You know, I felt like some of the more crass humor in there, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm prudish. I can appreciate, you know, poop jokes as much as anyone else, but you know, the shaving scene I thought might have been a bit much.
Can't give it away.
There it is right there. Right.
The shaving. There's certain scenes, certain jokes that I felt like I felt almost that they didn't really belong in this movie. This movie could have been a lot sweeter and maybe even sharper than it was. There were other elements I also thought that there were hints that this movie could have been a little bit more. You know, there's a scene where Alice Eve is first walking through the security checkpoint when we're first introduced to her character, and you see the reaction of all of the dudes and what somebody may think it's like for a gorgeous woman on a day-to-day basis, that the guys just turn into morons, right? And you know, just the little tricks that they do. And I thought that was a really intelligently written scene. I'd like to see more of that in the whole movie.
Without a single word being said.
Without a single word being said, exactly.
I thought that there was a scene that we saw a quick glimpse of earlier too. There's a scene where they're bowling, where they discussed the rating system, and I made a note of it there. I thought it was an incredibly well-written scene. I mean, that's among the that would rank highly among the best comedy scenes that I've seen in a while. That particular scene in that movie where they explained why you can't, if you're a 5, you can't go out with someone above a 7. If you're a 6, you can't go out with someone above an 8. If you're an 8, you can go out with a 10, but you can't go higher than, you can't be above 2. And that if you're a 5, you get an extra. If you're in a band, you get bumped up to a 6 because you're in a band. Right. You know, and then
right, and having a terrible car, which would normally penalize you,
right?
You get
an extra point because you're in a band,
right?
Because you're artistic, right?
Exactly.
Because you're in a
exactly.
band,
the artistic exemption.
The artistic exemption for having a bad car. Very funny scene, very clever. I liked a lot of that. I thought all the guys in his group were pretty good. You made note of T.J. Miller, who was sort of his closest friend, who I thought was good, but the good-looking guy in his group, Mike Vogel, I thought he was good too. Again, there were no. I didn't think there were any cliches in the group, which I thought was interesting. Even the heavy set guy who's in every commercial that has ever been on TV, I thought he was good and could easily have been the, if you'll excuse me, the fat guy in the group. And I thought, again, they gave everybody in that group some character.
Yeah, the friends are believable. They're not all misfit schlubs.
Right. They weren't all, the way that, the reason why I liked I Love You Man so much, one of the reasons I liked it was that Jason Segel had some depth. He was never a cliche.
He wasn't just a freak.
He wasn't just a freak. And I thought all these friends had a little something. I don't know. And then you go back to Jay Baruchel's family, and they were freakish too, but then they made up for some of the freakishness by being actually funny. So, I like this movie, and now I find myself, as the more I talk about it, I apparently like this movie more than I ever thought.
Bump up your rating?
I might have to bump my rating up here.
I thought the family was a bit more freakish, though, and almost.
No question they were freakish, but I thought they were. Then they became funny enough to overcome. To me, that no question they were freakish. I can't argue with that.
Can we just bring it down to reality here for a second, though? It's also massively cliched and predictable.
Oh,
it's totally stupid.
100%.
I'm with you on. I'm not offended by the crass humor. I just don't need it.
No,
it's unnecessary.
And I felt like it was.
It's like they can't resist themselves.
Right. I felt like this movie could have been something along the lines of, say, A 4 Weddings and a Funeral, right? Which is this really sweet, somewhat, pretty sharp romantic comedy. And then, but they decided, you know what? We need to go into the toilet humor. We need to go with the really crass humor to appeal to a younger audience. And I don't think it was necessary.
No.
I think it was completely unnecessary.
It's almost never necessary.
Right. And I think it was really gratuitous. A lot of those bits.
There were only 2 moments, really, and it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't really toilet. It was shaving. It was.
There are bodily functions too.
It was testicular in nature.
But there are bodily functions too.
There were.
Yeah, I don't want to, give it away.
I think
I want to maintain some mystery here for our viewers.
Give that away.
What?
I don't even remember, to be honest.
See, that's how important it was to
I hate
the story.
that normally. But anyway, all right. I thought it was pretty funny. All right, ratings.
I give it a 5.8.
Oh,
shockingly, I gave it a 5.8.
Barely better than average.
I'm giving it an average because I feel like the crassness really holds back. Come on. When you've got a giant dog licking up semen.
I wasn't going to give that away. Spoiler alert. You got to warn people.
I feel like that pulls back what could have been a much more clever script.
It led to a good scene, though, later.
It did lead to a good scene, but I felt it was just, some of it was played for the gross out slapstick.
Kristen Ritter plays Alice Eve's friend, and this is sacrilege to some. She's hotter than Alice Eve.
Not really.
Yeah, really.
She's all gothy and angry.
I know. He wasn't gothy. I don't like gothy.
I think she's more exotic.
Has black hair and heavy eyeliner.
I think she's more exotic than Alice Eve.
All right, fine.
Outrageous. I'm giving it a 6 point. Did these guys already give the ratings?
So I gave mine a 5, yes.
So we got a 5 there. We got a 5.8. I don't think we got the ratings up, but anyway, who cares? I gave it a 6.5, and I now feel like I've shortchanged it. I don't know. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was funny, and I feel like I should have given it a 7, also to offset these clowns who. She laughed. I was sitting next to her. She laughed. She laughed harder than 5.8.
I admit that I laughed quite
a
bit. I
way
said that
harder
off the
than
top.
5.8, and I'm shaking my finger at you right now.
There's no judgment here.
There's a lot
we don't
of
judge
judgment.
each other
I'm judging
here.
you right now. All right, so that pulls the overall rating of She's Out of My League up to a. Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting. It's got to hit. Oh, it should hit above 6.
Oh, I brought it down single-handedly.
You're the serious critic among us, man.
This is a funny movie.
Surprisingly.
You should go see it.